Hi, I'm Allie. I'm the owner of Sheer Homestead. These are my two feral free-range children who are with me all the time because that's what I do is I homestead, homeschool. I'm a teacher, micro baker, market gardener, wearer of many hats. But here today I am here to tell you about our homestead success story in the making. This is a couple pictures from our farm and our mission. I started our farm upon leaving military service. I was a Navy corpsman and served with a variety of different jobs, providing first response medical to other service members. And my husband was in the Army. When it came time for me to transition from the Navy to the civilian world, I at first didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was pretty lost, to be completely honest. And I found new passion in farming and homesteading and teaching. And it's been really fulfilling to be able to pursue this, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be here and talk to you guys a little bit about what we do. I keep choosing the wrong remote. I'm just moving that one. Mouse. This is our family. So our homestead is located in Norman, Oklahoma by Lake Thunderbird. We're currently operating on a 5-acre homestead. We raise poultry, we have a market garden, and we're growing at a pace that fits us. One of my mentors said to me one time, grow so slow that you cannot fail. And that is my mantra every day because it's really easy to grow so fast that you can't keep up. You can't keep up with the loans that they want to offer you. You can't keep up with, your body and how it's wearing on production. You can't keep up with the demands. Growing so slow that you cannot fail, I feel like has been the center of our success. Because if you get too ahead of yourself, you're burnt out before you even begin. And nobody wants that. We don't want that in our sustainable food systems. We don't want us to thrive, and we want us to last for ages so that we can serve our communities and our families and ourselves. Sometimes we forget that self part because we get so enthralled with our passions and what we're doing, and we forget that self matters. So that's why I bring it to knowing your why and what's driving your goals. This is a big part of my why, being able to have the flexibility to nurture my kids and teach them in this environment that also is fulfilling and provides for our community. I'm really grateful for this. A few keys to the success, I would say, I was sitting down thinking about was ensuring that you have a business plan and revisiting it regularly. A lot of farmers and homesteaders I know, they don't have a business plan. They don't have it written out, what their goals are, what the steps are to get to those goals, what the finances look like for each goal, and having it broken down visually in front of you. Even if you're never gonna hand it to anyone, what if you're never gonna hand it to the bank or anybody who cares? Just having it for you broken down so that you can revisit it and hold yourself accountable for your success is so important. I'm really grateful that I've had good mentors. I've not always had good mentors. I've had some who have taught me who have not been good mentors, but one of my good mentors was really keen on having a business plan, and I'm grateful that we did that because I feel like it's our roadmap to where we see our farm. Another one is don't miss out on marketing opportunities. I could teach a whole class on marketing. Actually, I'm gonna do that in the fall with a VOTEC college. I'm gonna teach small business marketing for folks because I have a degree in marketing from before I was in the military. But to quickly touch on marketing, I just wanna say people want to hear your story. They wanna know about your farm. They wanna know about what drives your passion. Why is it that you get up every single day and you tend to your vegetables or you tend to your poultry, cattle, pigs, whatever it is that you are farming? Why? Why do you do it? And that social media component for your farm, that's your outlet. That is your opportunity to share that why all the time. And our customers and our patrons, they want to know. They want to connect with their food. So being able to show them stories about their food and about your practices it aids in transparency, and it also connects them with you, and it helps them to be able to see the value in what you're producing. Because unless they see the value in it, they're not going to invest in it. And, you know, I know none of us are trying to get rich here, but we all want to be able to at least sell what we produce, right? So we have to make sure that we hit that market correctly so that we can sell stuff at market. Get down, sir. It's not for you. Here, go take it. Go sit down. Go. Go sit with your sister, monkey boy. Go on. It's okay. I once taught a sourdough class with him on my shoulders. I can do this. He wouldn't leave me alone, so I just put him up there and was like, all right, I'm just going to continue to teach. Anybody got a problem? No? Okay, well, we finished it. So that on marketing, conduct research, you know, and explore other farms. I have learned so much by visiting other farms. Not even ones just in my immediate area, but going to a little bit further away, people who do similar stuff, people who do completely different stuff. I've learned stuff at lavender farms. Do I grow lavender or plan on it anytime soon? I don't, but I still learn stuff from them, and I love seeing their practices. I love seeing how their equipment is and their buildings, infrastructure. If you have a chance to go to another farm and mentor with them, go on a tour, take that opportunity. It's always worth it. I never leave without just learning something, even if it is just being able to connect with people who are like-minded. That's super valuable in itself.
What is this place?
So knowing your why, being realistic, and also infrastructure before animals. I had to mention that. I'm not calling anybody out. But it's a huge thing in our industry because we get so passionate and we get excited and we want to dive right in. But it's so important to have infrastructure before the animals, because then we get ourselves into sticky situations that can lead us into stress, you know, either financially, physically, with the neighbors, because your animals keep getting out. You never know. So I just wanted to take note of that. It's the reason why I don't have sheep yet, or pigs, because we don't have the fencing set up for them yet. I'm like, someday,
That's for the handle.
one day.
What is it called?
Those are
Sorry.
the buttons for the sound.
Bye.
Awesome. So this is our farm. I highly recommend if you can find somebody with a drone. It's really cool to be able to get a drone footage of your farm and be able to take the picture and use it to visualize how you're mapping out your farm. I can't tell you how many times I've changed this visual because I've learned new things. Once upon a time, I wanted to put the garden down here, and I wanted to put sheep up here, and I wanted to put the orchard in the middle. And then I talked to another farmer who was like, why would you put your vegetables downhill? Because this is a slope. They said all that waste is going to run downhill into your vegetable garden. Also, she was like, what's your drainage look like in that vegetable garden area? When we get our super heavy May and April rain, is your garden going to get drowned? Yep. But here on the higher end of the slope was the better place to put that garden. It also was helpful that I shared this image with other people, other farmers. I was able to draft it, and I went to a successful market gardener. One of my mentors is Tanglefoot Farms in Blanchard. If you've ever looked up her page or her farm, she's amazing. And I showed her this image, and she gave me critiques, and it was extremely valuable. And sometimes you kind of got to get vulnerable like that and show people even when you're not ready, because you can learn a great deal. Get down. Go sit down. No, you're not going to go sit right there. Sit with your sister. Go sit. This is my most well-behaved child here. This is my service dog. Her name is Cinderella. She's a medical response service dog. I work with a veteran organization at OKC, and it's a train the trainer program. They've been great and given me a lot of mobility to do things that I couldn't do without her. Go sit down. So knowing what your farm layout looks like is super beneficial. I highly recommend it. A couple of really good books. I've read a lot of books getting into farming. I didn't come from a farming background. My family didn't farm, and I wanted to learn as much as I could on my own without going to get an ag degree, because as you can see, I ain't got time for an ag degree right now. So I've read as many books as I can. Where are you going?
We got it. We'll go walk. We got it.
Where?
Come on.
The popped? Oh my gosh, good luck. I've read a lot of books, and these I decided were my absolute favorites. You Can Farm by Joel Salatin is full of practical advice and knowledge. If anybody has read anything by Joel Salatin, he's an excellent writer, has really, really great points and details. Another great book was The Market Gardener by Jean-Martin Fortier, and he explained market gardening so in depth. Everything from timing to methods, and he's doing it in Canada where they have a much shorter growing season. So it was cool to see it from that perspective. Even though their timetables are different, we can adjust those for our zone. Definitely two great books that I would recommend. And sorry, I have a terrible memory, so I have to use the PowerPoints mostly for me. All right. So one of the keys I feel like to our success is product diversity. And diversifying revenue streams can be beneficial, and it stacks and layers your sources of revenue, but it also can be detrimental if you have too many going on. You've got too many hands and too many pots, and it's a hard time to juggle them. I really would advise for seasonality for some of these things. So say if you are producing value-added goods, make those seasonal. Explain that to your customers that that'll be a seasonal item. If I make jam, I make it in the spring when the strawberries come out. I make it in the late spring when the peaches come out, in the fall with the apples. And I tell my customers when it's gone, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna source it locally and I'm gonna make it locally. And it's just one of our seasonal items. And I'm not gonna kill myself or try to add to a system of trying to produce something when it's not in season. I wanna source local when possible and in season when possible. And I try to encourage that for my patrons and with my business. So having some crop diversity for the market garden is great. Not putting all your eggs in one basket and say, I'm just gonna only grow lettuce, and then nobody buys lettuce, or something like that. Also having crop diversity. We started the first CSA in Cleveland County, the only one that is going on. Actually, we started it and then other people followed, and now there's more CSAs that I'm really excited about because I can't produce for everybody. I don't wanna produce for everybody.
Can you explain to everybody what a CSA is?
Yes, I was going to do that. So CSA stands for Community Supported Agriculture. And from a producer standpoint, community supported agriculture is awesome for us because I'm not taking all those vegetables to the market and hoping somebody buys them and going home with them if nobody does buy them. Say I have my market in Norman where there's OU football games. You think how many people come to the market on OU football game Saturdays? Not a lot of people. That's a lot of cucumbers or whatnot for me to harvest and be homeless. And then I got to can it all up and do stuff on the back end when I wanted to sell it. So the CSA, I sell directly to my customers. I have an online website and I deliver them bi-weekly during the season. I just put whatever is good in the harvest and they get a variety of what we're harvesting.
They're beautiful.
And they get our eggs from our poultry and they give them delivered to their door. So they are willing to pay a premium for that farm to table delivery service. And for me, I put a mileage on it. I only deliver within 30 miles out of my farm. If they're past 30 miles from my farm, they can come pick it up. I can't add that to my delivery route just for my own sanity and gas. But it's a really awesome way. So at the beginning of the season, I sell the CSA. It helps me pay for seeds. It helps me pay for soil and new purchases for the garden that year up front. And I know in return, I'm gonna provide vegetables for my customers. And they know that if I get hit by a tornado or any natural disaster, there's a disclaimer that it's all gonna suck for us. I'm gonna do my best to do what I can by them, but if I am at a total loss, then it's gonna be just the unfortunate part about it. If I do have a total crop failure, I know other farmers who have the same practices as me and who my customers would feel comfortable with going through. I grow naturally, organically as possible, regeneratively, and my customers know that and they appreciate that I don't use chemicals. And so if I were to purchase produce, it would be from like-minded producers. And I know up front, I've actually purchased some for weeks intentionally so I can introduce my customers to other producers as a way to just kind of strengthen our network. I love the CSA. I will do it every season. They feel like my family. I include recipes for them and some suggestions on how they can use the produce. And I also connect them with what's going on the farm. What was born that week? What was happening that week? What big projects? I do some nutrition knowledge. I have a degree in health science. So sometimes I tie some of my nutrition info in there and give them some like beneficial veggies and whatnot. I also do a micro bakery. I bake sourdough and I sell that at the markets. My biggest thing though is I teach sourdough classes. So I have people in my farm kitchen twice a month and I teach them how to make sourdough. And I developed a course that only takes 2 hours from start to finish, and they leave knowing how to bake their own bread. But you can do classes like that even if it's not sourdough. You can do classes like that on poultry processing. You can do soap making. You can do distilling. You can do so many different things. People want to learn. People want to connect with their food. We did our first farm to table dinner last year. Agritourism is big. And it also helps people connect with their food, connect with your farm. So last fall, I had a chef come out and he prepared duck that we raised. And then all of the vegetables came from my garden. The salad that everybody ate was cut in front of them like 5 minutes before it was on the plate. I drug everybody from their tables and brought them out to the garden and demonstrated how I cut the lettuce. And it was really simple. I just cut lettuce in front of a bunch of people. But for them, it meant a lot to them because they saw it come from the garden and then they saw it on their plate and they knew how they could incorporate that. So instead of it just being some random bag of lettuce from God knows where, it now had connection. And that was the coolest part for the farm to table dinner. I made no money from the farm to table dinner, to be completely honest. Between paying the chef, renting tables, and all that stuff and the food, it was wasn't at a loss, but it wasn't at a profit either. But it was a valuable experience connecting people with my farm. And I got to talk to them about why I love what I do. And that was worth it to have a captive audience who was happy to be there. Let's see here. There's a couple pictures. I couldn't do what I do without my service dog. I'm really grateful for her. So she's in our pictures. That's me at the market, the Norman Market. Cinnamon rolls that I make with sourdough and some bread. So that is our farm in a nutshell. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, Leah.
You include your sourdough in with your CSA. I've seen your CSA plan. It's phenomenal. Her CSA is beautiful.
Thank you.
So it's possible for people who aren't even growing at a mass scale. Would you say it's possible for people who have like micro bakeries, who also have eggs or who have goat's milk or something like that, who aren't really producing a lot of vegetables because they support the farmer's market? Do you think that there's an avenue for a CSA for a micro bakery or eggs? And because a lot of people think that you have to grow vegetables for a CSA if they know what it is.
That's true.
And so, I see so many people who sell sourdough and eggs and who support other farmers because they have no desire to go pick squash bugs at 7 a.m.
No, it sucks.
I mean, so do you think that there is an avenue? I think a lot of people get into homesteading and they want to learn they like the lifestyle, but they also want to learn how to make money from the lifestyle.
Yes.
And so do you think that's an avenue that somebody could potentially do, is just like a micro bakery / maybe some eggs or goat's milk or something like that?
So you could definitely do a CSA like that, community supported agriculture, or even put it into terms where they can understand. I often call ours a subscription service or a membership.
Like
HelloFresh. Because they're familiar with HelloFresh. They're familiar with the other, things that are out there, and it makes it more relatable and they kind of get it. But yeah, they would definitely, I know customers would be interested in a subscription for baked goods, or even if people could partner. See, you're at the same farmer's market together, or you know somebody and you could partner with them and be like, hey, we should start this CSA together, and somebody does vegetables, somebody does poultry, somebody does baked goods, and then you get in and on together, have a central meetup point where you put the bags together or something, and then you sell them and distribute them and make it a partnership. That's also really valuable. As opposed to doing a standalone by yourself. But I really think that a standalone by yourself could be successful too. For us, I'm not doing this to get rich. I just do it because I enjoy it and it's therapeutic for me. I don't want to go back to working in medicine. I don't want to go back to being away from my kids. And it's fulfilling for me, but I also don't want to go broke doing it. So my goals for my farm are to be self-sustainable. I don't pay myself an income, but I don't want to operate to where I'm taking from our personal finances. I think that the most beneficial thing that we did when we started this, and is the reason why I've had to hustle hard, is that we put our personal finances separate from our farm finances. And it's really hard to do sometimes because I want to do things. I want projects. It's tempting to take away from that personal savings account, but I can't. My husband won't let me because he's mean. Just kidding, he's not mean, he's really smart. And I would drive us into the ground if it wasn't for him with my big dreams. But that was actually one smart thing he did. He was like, no, if we need farm money, we need to make farm money. We're not going to take it from our personal finances so that it can be self-sustaining. And I see that happen a lot with farmers. They get to where things are too intermingled and they have a hard time separating them. And then one area of their life is struggling. And usually it's your personal, because your personal, if you let it, that farm could be a money pit and you don't want it to be that. And it also forces you to grow slow that you can't fail. If you don't have all the money in the world to work on 1 billion projects at once, you have to prioritize what means the most right now. And, for us, that's usually our market garden. For us, that's our poultry. We just started rabbits. We're going small. We haven't just jumped into all the avenues that I want to do all at once.
How long have you guys been doing it? How long have you been full-time homesteading?
We've been full-time homesteading for a year. Yes, last year was our first year. We're going on our second year. My husband is a truck driver full-time, and it's me at home with the kids running our farm full-time. And I do that while homeschooling and chasing after them. So my farm work usually includes them helping me with as much as possible, and a lot of coffee.
How much of your property is part of your farm?
So I'll show you that. I can show you. Yeah, so this is only 5 acres, and 3 of it is these woods up here that has nothing in it farm related at all. We'll get to that eventually, perhaps. We could run some pigs through there, or some goats, who knows, but we need fencing first. But this is my garden currently. It's 1,800 square feet, and I've got a mix of raised beds and in-ground and containers all around the edges. I only do 6, and it's,
That's still a lot,
I do 6 CSAs. So I feed 7 families, including my own, out of that garden. And it's 1,800 square feet.
So what type of veggies do you have in there?
So for vegetables, we have tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, the early season vegetables like broccoli, snap peas, root veg, like carrots, beets, radish. And then when those, right now they're in transition because it's getting too toasty. Then we do mostly summer vegetables, zucchini, eggplant, onion, garlic, lots and lots of herbs, because I love companion planting with herbs. I love to eat herbs. I love to dry herbs. I also like to sell them. I'm looking more into making like tea blends for the future, because you can dry tea blends and you can sell those, and it's easier to store those.
What's your garden number 2 over there?
This one is the one we're gonna build. So this has trees in it right now. These cars are now gone. Bless my husband's heart. We're gonna clear it out. We're gonna put high tunnels right here. And eventually my goal is to have this be my market garden and this be my personal garden, so that I can easier manage them with them separate. And we have fruit trees that we planted this year too. They're gonna go over here.
How did you figure out your prices?
For my CSA, so I take the amount that I would do market for the vegetables per pound for each bag, and I give them approximately 5 pounds of produce each delivery. So I calculate it per that price of produce. So for my subscription, I have to look on my website. I don't remember my numbers right now, but I think it's about $25 or so a delivery, and that comes with me putting it on their doorstep. So, and they're really happy with it, and they're really receptive, and it's built relationships, and it also helps us because a lot of them, they share their experiences with our farm. And when we have excess produce to sell at the farmer's market, it's always going quickly because we're building those relationships with our customers.
What you do where you pass for your pets for the
For the vegetables, companion planting a lot, manual picking squash bugs off. I have used some dichotomous earth, and I've also used some neem oil sparingly. I try not to use too much, but occasionally it has to happen. If I do get an invasive by, like, I've had to use BT because of the army worms. Oh, they love to destroy your leaves. Yes.
So, I'm doing the same thing like you are, like partial container and then also in-ground. Now with your in-ground, how are you managing your weed situation? Like,
My weed situation, so I use silage tarps.
okay.
And I cover everything with a tarp before we get started, so that I terminate everything on the ground.
So is your whole garden basically fabric out then?
Not yet.
No.
So I only tarp it in between seasons.
Okay.
And then it's open ground after that.
Okay.
No-till method, right?
Yes, I do no-till unless I'm starting a new bed. We do till for the first ground breaking if that's never been a garden before. Yes.
Killed everything with.
Yeah, it breaks up more of that grass and just encourages it.
I'm kind of wondering how to.
Silage tarp it, let that heat. If you can afford it, I would highly recommend having it tarped during the hottest months. If it's an area that you can afford not to be in production. Hey, thank you so much. I'm sorry. We're doing great. Oh my gosh. So I really, really love the tarping method. It encourages positive microbial growth. It encourages the earthworms activity, and it doesn't break up the ground. It doesn't kill all those positive microbes, and it kills all the grass. And I just get, you can get a silage tarp from like Farmer's Friend or something that's super expensive. But honestly, I go to Harbor Freight and get one from them, and it's way cheaper. And then I throw sandbags on top of it, and that's how I prepare the ground.
To touch on your weed situation, I don't use goals to do silage tarps, but so for me on all my in-ground beds to prevent weeds, I mulch.
Mhm.
I use leaf
It's helpful
mulch.
too.
You have people who will say, don't use hay, don't use straw. At the end of the day, use what you want to use because hand weeding, I don't use a
Yeah.
hoe or anything like that. I hand weed everything. But if it wasn't for mulch or straw, or if you don't cover the earth, she will cover herself.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you choke it out. Like if you don't cover her, she will cover herself.
Mhm.
And so I use a lot of leaf mulch. I've used straw. I've used hay. The only thing is, I think which one is it? Straw or hay has grass seed in it.
Mhm.
And so you might get some grass that pop up in your garden, but
It's not nearly as
walking down
much.
your row and going like this versus getting on your knees and scraping off. I mean, it's totally different.
Yeah.
So as long
Yeah,
as
we
you
have
find
a
something to cover.
we have a flame weeder too. Yeah, I've burned it as well if it's getting really bad. But yeah, that's a battle that I fight. I really don't want to move to plastic culture. I don't want to I don't want to do all of the plastic. I hate it. I don't want to add more plastic to my garden than I have to. So the tarping is kind of like a friendly method for that. I need to cover my raised beds more because I pull way too many weeds in the raised beds. Yes. Does anybody else have any questions? Yes.
What did you call that fabric at Harbor Freight?
It is just a tarp. I called it a silage tarp.
Okay.
And that's usually like black on one side and shiny on the other side, and you want to put the shiny side bottom and the black so it absorbs the heat.
Shining side.
Toast it some more. Toast the ground. I don't know how else to say it. That's probably one of my farmer friends told me the official word is called occulting. You're occulting the ground. And I was like, well, that's cool. Now I know. So there's a lot of ways to get it done. But thank you so much for letting me jabber at you guys. I really love this. I'm happy for the opportunity to get to share some of my insights, and I hope that I've helped at least one person in this room today. Thank you. Sander.